Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my favorite corned beef. It's very easy and very tasty, so I recommend you try it at some point in the very near future. These are the ingredients you'll need. There's some salt, some pepper, garlic, potatoes, and onions. Optional. These are all optional, but recommended. And these are the vital ones. These are the ones you cannot go without. You see, they're the ox and palm corned beef things. I recommend using 2 of these big ones and 1 of these smaller ones. Today we're using chili and garlic, and for the other ones it's original chunky style. Make sure you scrape the sides when you're getting the corned beef out. You don't want to waste any of it. Especially with the smaller ones, the purple ones with the extra flavors in it, because that's where they tend to hang out, I've learned. So scrape it out real good. Your other ones and put them in just the same. These ones are a little bit harder to scrape out because of their steeper sides. Not steeper sides, just taller sides. You see, that's why using a fork doesn't always work. You see, it's actually beneficial to use something with a slanted edge, like this one. You see, look at it. It has a slanted edge. I don't know if you can see, but you see that? The pointy tip is what you use to scrape the bottom, the corners especially. It's pretty easy so far, isn't it? Unless you don't have a can opener. You might not have a can opener. If you don't, why don't you have a can opener? They're really useful. You should get one. Although I don't know how expensive they are. I'm assuming not very. So now you want to let it sweat in its own fat. Let the fat melt, and make sure you mix it a little bit so that you get the special flavors mixed in with the regular. That way you get an even distribution. Even-ish, anyways. And I'll see you once it's melted. So make sure to push aside most of the meat so you have plenty of fat on the side to saute your garlic and onions. So usually, well, sometimes anyways, instead of using potatoes, we put in just like leftover rice, and that also tastes very good with the corned beef. So if you don't want to go through the trouble of chopping potatoes, then, well, good news for you. You don't have to, and it's still tasty. Really tasty. So remember to just let the onions cook for a little bit before adding your potatoes. Yeah, okay. So now that your onions are cooked a bit more, you're ready to add the potatoes. And since you're adding potatoes, the potatoes will soak up the saltiness and the flavor from the corned beef. So you need to add some salt. I also put pepper, however, because pepper just makes it tastier. No explanation, no further explanation required. It just makes it tastier. And then you're going to want to stir those potatoes in really good. And make sure if your corned beef is boiling, if the fat is boiling at this point, you may want to scrape the bottom of your pan or pot, probably pot, maybe pan, whichever you happen to be using. So now that your potatoes are all mixed in, you're going to want to cover it with a lid and turn down the heat. Let it simmer until the potatoes are soft. You should be checking it every 5 minutes, although, after you've just covered it and let it simmer, you probably shouldn't check too soon. Otherwise, well, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth if you try and eat potatoes that aren't very well cooked. I know from experience, it's not pleasant. So it's been about 15 minutes since I left you guys last time. The potatoes, some of them look like they might be soft right about now, so I'm going to taste it. While we were away though, off camera, I got a little bit impatient and I turned up the heat again, just so go by a little faster. So, take this with a grain of salt. Potato. Make sure you're using a clean spoon. And make sure you cool it down first. Ow. It's not ready yet. So, it's been 8 minutes since the last tasting, and I'm going to taste it again. This time we did not actually turn up the heat at all. By the way, I did rinse this spoon, just so you know. Health first, safety first, whichever you prefer. Same thing, really. Not really, but yeah. So now I'm gonna taste it. I'm gonna taste it again. It's been 10 minutes-ish. This time I'm being careful to cool it down first. That one was soft. I don't think it needs any more salt or pepper. I don't think it needs anything else. The garlic flavor, the garlic and chili flavor from the purple one is actually very, very tasty. So when you're done with this, remember to, well, we usually serve it with rice. So you just have some rice you put this on your plate, and then you put rice on top of it, or vice versa. It's really, really tasty then, because the rice soaks up all this saucy yumminess and makes it taste really, really good. And it's not as rich. I mean, it's a little bit rich without the rice. So, yeah, good. So, it's done now. So, it's actually really tasty. But don't let it cool down for a bit before eating it. Otherwise, you will burn your tongue and you won't be able to enjoy it. So, Turn off the heat. Never forget to turn off the heat when you're done.